Welcome back. In today's video we have Black Rose submission about a cool character in cartoon style like early 2000s, and since we have multiple submissions about the same character but in different scenarios, I will provide some tips on each of those. We have three different things to cover here. One would be the profile image, which also has some cool animation. Gotta go fast, right? And we have a bus stop sign, essentially a cool mock-up where this character would be used in side-scrolling adventure. And we have the walk animation. So I'll cover all of these three things. And before I start covering the profile image, I need to give a little bit of history so you know where exactly we are coming from, because Black Crow has submitted profile image, and in the meantime between this video we did have a feedback session one-on-one in which we have redesigned the character to fit a bit more into the early 2000s cartoon style. So this was the before and after. Keeping that in mind, we will have to redesign the profile image, because if you just take this character by itself as it was before, you can see they are indeed quite similar. So this is the reason why I wanted to give a little bit of history so you know what we are working towards. Okay, with that out of the way, let's start working on the profile image itself. First thing I'm noticing is that we should adjust the colors. One would be the color of the hair, and I'll create a new frame so we can compare it later on, and make it completely black. And this will also apply to the shirt itself, because when we look on the right, this is how it should look like. Next would be this shine on the hair. And the easiest way to do this is that you can imagine drawing a circle around the hair, and you basically follow that curve. You select the hair, we can increase the size of our brush a little bit and just make that circle. And that's all there is to it. What I will do, however, a little bit extra, is create 1 pixel of black outlines, like so. The next thing I would do is remove the highlight on the skin, because I think the contrast between this highlight and the skin tone is just a little bit too small for my taste. So we'll remove it. You can add it later on, but in that case I would suggest increasing the contrast of the highlight. The main thing we should be adjusting is the face itself. So one, you can see that this flock of hair is going over the left eye of the character, so we should also be doing the same here as well. Then the facial expression isn't the same. So one, do you see how the eyebrows here are raised and here are not? We should also be raising the eyebrows here. Why? Because we have these wrinkles on the forehead, and the wrinkles basically appear when you are pushing your eyebrows up. So you can see like the wrinkles easier when we have, well, the eyebrows up. Okay, so adjusting that. I also think that we should move everything by 1 pixel. So if I take one color, do you see how the bottom pixel of this eye is 1 pixel below? Same goes for the eyebrows. So I think we should take this entire left portion of the face and just bring it down by 1 pixel. Okay, now let's talk about the eyes themselves. I'm going to fix the shading here just a little bit. So we have this bottom pixel here on the left side, which is black, but on the left side we can clearly see there isn't any. Then we have the eyelids, which are essentially, in this case, they are half of the eye. So keeping that in mind, we'll do the same thing here. And if you wanted to add a bit of shading on the eyelids, you can certainly do so. It's not necessary, to be honest, but again, if this is something that you really wanted to, you can add it, perhaps something like this. The facial features are a bit more nicely connected right now, so let's work on the rest of it. I think the hair on the left side on the profile image is in a bit different style than on the right, so I'll just try to adjust it a little bit. I'm going to remove the hair here below so we can see the jawline a bit better. Now, if I take a bright red color, so we have this transition 2 2, then we have 3, then 2 2. I would say that we should be using 2, 2, 2, and so on until we get roughly around here, in which case we can increase the angle. So let's do just that. And roughly here, I would increase the angle like so. So the jawline is just a little bit rounder, just like it is here on the character. And let's see. So we can play around with the hairstyle a little bit more. Up to you how you want to play around. We can add a little bit of these because you can see that the hair is a little bit messy. And how much details you want to invest and go, that's totally up to you. Another thing that we can do is, this is completely optional, we can render the eyes in this type of style, which would match the style on the right, because you can see it's not rounded on this portion like that. It's not rounded. So in order to match that, this is completely optional. Again, there are many possibilities on how we can create profile image because you have a lot more resolution to work with. So you can add and tweak the style a little bit towards your own preferences. So yeah, I think we did a pretty good job with adjusting this profile image. I think we can still spend a lot more time refining this profile image, but because we have multiple pieces going on, I'll just continue on. The next one, we have a bus stop. And this is also an animation. The scenery looks pretty nice. There are maybe a couple of things that I would adjust here. And before I do that, I would like to say, please post everything in original resolution, because this animation is also being upscaled. Yes, it's a lot better to share on, be it on Discord or other social media, by being upscaled, which is a good idea. But when I have to provide feedback, please post in original resolution, because I cannot spend time on essentially resizing every frame. It's not practical. So what I did is just took one single frame and adjusted the size. Now let's talk about the image. The style is cohesive, which is quite nice. I like how it looks. I would say that the bus stop sign is, from what I can see, it's here on the road, and I don't think at least where I live, bus stop signs aren't on the road. They are here, basically where people walk. So I'll just quickly adjust the position of this sign and I'll speed this one up. Okay, there we go. So now we have the bus stop sign where it won't cause issues with traffic. Okay, now I would like to say one thing, because all objects here have a solid black outline. I don't think that this bus stop sign is any different, but this is a little nifty trick. If you wanted to make it look like it connects more to the ground, you can remove the outline where it actually connects to the ground. So you have the before and after, right? So it's a tiny small change. So see? It's a small change, but this is completely optional. Now, the last thing I would say about this image is the sewers, because I see some shading here. So I'm not sure what kind of sewer opening this is. If it's one of those which are completely flat with the road, then it's completely fine. But if it's one of those, you know, like this is an image I've searched, like this one, where you can, where it's actually part of the road walk, where the sidewalk is a little bit above the road itself. So if it's like this, then I would adjust the shading of this portion of the road. So it would probably be something like this. So this is probably how it would look like. Now, I don't think we need that much highlights here, because it's not really a point of interest. So maybe something like that would be totally fine. Perhaps even something like this. So there are many ways how you can render the sewers, but essentially, if this is like one of those sewers which I like from it, this is one of those ways how you can make that extra height. So there we go. So this is the before and this is the after. So those are like tiny small changes. Also, because you can see that the silvers themselves, like here, they're not completely connected. We still gonna have to represent that portion by adding perhaps just 1 pixel of outline, like so. And there we go. So now we have those silvers. It's still part of the image. It doesn't take so much attention, but it's there. Okay, I think that's about it about this specific scenery. Let's move on to the last portion. That would be the walk animation. This is the walk animation, and again, it's being upscaled, so I won't be able to work on this animation pixel by pixel. Let's see what we can do by itself. First, the animation itself looks great. The walk cycle is nice proper. If we slow it down a little bit, you can see that even the position of toes is being shifted, which is really good. Overall, it looks really nice. Now, the perspective is a bit odd when it comes to this skull on the shirt, because we are looking at this character straight on. So this is not an isometric perspective where you have to adjust the angle of, in this case, the skull on the shirt. So on all of the frames, I would put the skull like so. Again, since this isn't, since it's upscale, I'm not gonna spend time on redoing every single frame, but this is one thing that you could do. Okay, so I'm just gonna undo those changes. And if you really wanted to make that extra depth with that skull, you can shift the position of the skull left or right depending on how he moves his shoulders. So let's say the character, see how he moves his shoulders and arms to the on the right side of his body. So when he extends like that, you can move the position by 1 pixel, like so. And you can apply the same thing on the opposite side, so you can create it like that. So now if he moves, you have at least a little bit of movement when it comes to the shirt, if this is what you really wanted to do. Personally, I don't think it's needed. I think that 1 pixel of movement left and right on such animation doesn't look the best, but if you really wanted to make that, this is one of the things that you could be doing. One thing that I have also noticed is the hair. Do you see these few pixels? I have sped this up specifically. So do you see these 1, 2, 3 and this 4th pixel which never moves from this place? So we have 4 pixels that don't move at all. Now, what I think that you have wanted to do is have, like, on most of the position of the hair, you wanted to make it so it kind of bounces up and down. But if you do it on both cases when the character is going up and down, this is what you'll have. It will make it look like the position of this little strand of hair is actually static, that it doesn't move at all. And you wanted to create that little bounce. So what you should be doing is do it only when the character moves towards one position. For example, do you see when he moves down that you have this pixel stay because you wanted to extend it? No, let's remove that. He goes up, totally fine, goes up, totally fine. Again, when he goes down, we have to remove it. So now when we play the animation, you can see that little bounce on that strand of hair, and you can do the same thing on those 3 strands here on the left side. Okay, so I believe that's all for today. I hope you take all of these little tips into mind, and as always, just remember to relax and have fun.